Yeah, I'm going to be very brief on this video because I did a little more research on this alleged meteor strike thing that was supposedly on September 24th, 2015. There might be something to it because actually this was one of the original Illuminati playing cards, which is interesting in itself because it shows meteor strike with Atlantis rising in the background or some landmass rising in the background. It shows the Gulf of Mexico, Florida, southeast United States, and I don't even know what this landmass is out here. Maybe that's supposed to be Iceland or something. I don't know. But usually these cards played out pretty damn well. I noticed cards also had, about the tsunami, the nuclear accident, the Twin Towers being struck. It even had the word nuke. And, first I said nuke. What do you mean nuke? There's no nuke. They used demolitions. But then they're showing there was molten steel at the bottom of the Twin Towers. For days after it, just molten, still molten. So, like, even if they were using demolition charge to bring down the towers, they made it look like planes or something. If you get, that's what I thought it was, but maybe they did use some kind of crazy exotic mini nuke to bring them down. That's what the playing cards had. They showed a striking of the Pentagon. And actually, the Secret Service actually visited Steve Jackson because those cards were too uncannily accurate in what they predicted. And there is one out for meteor strike. Now, I know there's a load of people out there talking about September 24th, 2015. I think that's BS, especially when it's the same yo-yos that are actually saying the same stuff. But I did look into some things. There's some people that prophesize that this is going to happen, right? But I started digging in a little more. I says, instead of giving the whole freaking 2-hour spiel here, because I just picked up a couple facts. One of the people said they got a vision. It was in 1998, I think it was. But she didn't expect it to happen for at least 20 years. And the other thing is, if there's a meteor coming this way, there's a gazillion amateur telescopes out there pointing in the sky. In other words, you're going to know ahead of time, but, maybe one of these deals is a meteor coming this way. It might hit, it might not hit, and it'll know, right? Actually, there was a meteor not long ago that I don't know how close it was, like, exactly. I think it was like 2 or 3 times the distance from the Earth to the moon. But that's considered close. But, I don't know. But, this if there's something true to this, there was another thing. There was a kid that he said he had a vision when he was 11 years old. And this was back in 2010. Now it's 2015, right? So he's 16 now. So he said it was later on in life. He was a scientist, and he was trying to ascertain these maps where this meteor was going to strike. That was his vision. So, the one lady said more than 20 years, she thought, from 1998, which would put it after 2018. And the other kid said he was a scientist later on in life. Maybe he was at least in his 20s. So if he's 16 now, I don't know, maybe it's in 2025 or something. I don't know. So, this may happen. May not, might want to obliquely keep it as a reference in the back of your head. I know there's been things alleged even from Edgar Casey. I went on another video. I don't plan to be around here anyway because I was thinking about moving up more. I wasn't even about this. I was just thinking about getting property up in one of the mountains in Virginia, North Carolina, I don't know, Pennsylvania, and then, but I wasn't even that was before I even knew about the meteor, and just thinking about the mountain environment because I'm tired of the flatlands here. But, if I actually thought that was going to be the case, I'm going to tell you right now, it's going to be mud on their face again, because you hear it from the same stupid people about 2012, the Y2K, what was going to happen in stock markets going to zero in 2009, whatever. Same old garbage, the dollar's going to crash in 2008, 2009, 2010, 2011, 2012, 2013, 14, 15, blah, blah, blah. The dollar ain't going to crash right away either. That's another deal. But if you actually look into some other things, like there was, about the mini ice age coming up, that's a scientific fact. there could be a lot of strange things happening, but we should get more warning other than somebody's vision that's going to possibly happen 20 years from 1998 or past more than 20 years from 1998, or when somebody that was 10 years old in 2011 is actually a scientist, a grown man that's a scientist. So, that puts it about, I don't know, somewhere in the 2020s, I guess. Easy. So it may happen sometime quite a bit of ways. I'm just going to tell you this. I just want to be brief on this because I noticed a lot of videos floating out about this meteor stuff on September 24th, 2015. I tell you, there's a load of amateur telescopes out there that can see if there's a meteor coming it's going to be coming. They're telling you all this garbage about the military movements. Maybe there is something coming and it's going to be later on. I don't know. Maybe there's something to this, but I'm not. The only thing that really got me bugged about this was the Illuminati playing card, to tell you quite the truth. These damn playing cards, if you look at the original set, I'm not going to go over the whole damn set, but they got so many stupid things in here that happened already or seem to have happened. I'm like, and they got one in there about the meteor, it looks like the capstone on a pyramid, and it's coming at the earth, and in the background you see Atlantis coming out, and it's got Florida and southeast, southeastern USA in the background. Oh, I don't know. But from my best, from these, how good is that information? Somebody had a dream, a prophecy, blah, blah, blah. How good is that information? It's as good as anything, Hey, I had a vision, I had a vision. You were in a, whatever. I can't, there's a limit to this stuff with these visions, okay? But I just want to tell you that there's a lot of prophet people out there with this. Watch, September 24th, 2015, nothing's going to happen. No. But there might be something to this for later on. It might be quite a number of years off. It might be 5-7 years away. And like I said, the thing that got me paused to thinking is about that Illuminati playing card. I'm not buying into the September 24, 2015 garbage. Not in the least. But there might be something to this. So when they cry wolf and they all scream about this crap and you say it's a bunch of bullshit and it turns out to be a bunch of bullshit, that doesn't mean it's going to be bullshit in the future. I'd keep a blank eye out for this garbage. And I have more faith in those Illuminati playing cards than I do the people that say they got a vision. You know what I mean? Because, I don't know, they could be on crack for all I know, to tell you the truth. I'm not into that stuff at all. And, even the stuff in the Bible, they could have been smoking crack out there in a freaking funny desert weed. Got hallucinations, too. I don't even know. I don't knock the Bible, like, per se. And there's people out there that think it's all hogwash. I think it's historically accurate. But then again, I don't know if it's exactly the way the religious people think it is, too. I kind of like use a rational thought with a lot of things. And this, I don't know. I mean, there's one wacky story out there where they said an alien told them this was going to happen. I was like, good. Okay, alien, go freaking turn it around. Make the meteor do a U-turn. If you know what's going to happen, maybe you can make it a U-turn, But, sometimes I wonder when they got those Illuminati playing cards and they say this shit, I don't know how they can cause this to happen, but everything on those Illuminati playing cards that seem to have happened is, I don't know. But the information I got from people that had these visions and crap, it was later on. It wasn't 2015. So, but then again, may not ever happen. I don't know. It's right now in Florida, the worst thing in the world is tornadoes and lightning. It's not meteors, but shit. I don't even want to give this a serious thought, but then again, I don't want to totally ignore it. It just, It's beyond, in my opinion, it's almost laughable and ludicrous, but I don't want to totally ignore it because sometimes strange shit happens. So I'll leave you with that thought. Sorry, I can't freaking pinpoint what the hell's going to happen. I don't know, okay? This could be bullshit. And actually, that the same people who have been pushing this story are all screaming September 24th, 2015. I think it's total bullshit. But then again, the overall story might be right. Not that I'd worry about it, because there's going to be a lot of people giving you some kind of heads up, besides people who give you visions, that there's a meteor that might be coming this way. I mean, you'll have some kind of 3 months notice or some shit if it's going to happen. And maybe it might happen. You know, I don't want to like be ludicrous and say, "Oh, I just want it to happen in 2025 if it does." But from my indications is the one lady says she thought it was at least 20 years. It was more than at least 20 years away from 1998. At least 20 years away. And the one kid said, I got to repeat this because people miss it. And the other kid said that when he was 10 years old, he had his vision in 2010. So he's like 15 or he's 11 years old in 2010. So he's 16 years old now in 2015. He says he was a scientist a little later on in life, and he had a vision. He was examining this meteor that was going to be hitting Earth. So if you say that's true, it looks like it's some years down the road. I don't even want to do this update, tell you the truth. All right, but I know there's people looking for information on this, and I'm like thinking, if this shit was coming in September, they would have known about it, you know. But then again, this is what's got me bugged. This meteor strike with the freaking pyramid with Florida and Atlantis blown out of the water. So I don't take these original set of Illuminati playing cards lightly.